quick question, how much of a sly, sneaky sneakersons do you think Ardyn Izunia is? Double it! And you still ain't even close.
A man of no consequence.
Oh, welcome back to the second part of this theory video, where we are going to be expanding on the character of Ardyn Izunia, where we are going to raise your perception of just how much this guy was playing and manipulating events behind the scenes to a whole new level. The sheer depth of his scheming and cunning makes that crazy ex-girlfriend of yours seem like pleasant, viable waifu material. Now, I mean, most of us know the snaky villainry depths of Ardyn. We know he's the one who brought the demons, who invaded Insomnia. He was the one manipulating idolers behind the scenes, set up the wedding between Noctis and Luna, guided Noctis like a puppet on a string, and executed a perfectly well thought out 2,000-year-old plan of revenge. Whew, that is a long time to hold a salty grudge, but what if I told you Ardyn's plan is far more mind-blowing and devious than most fans realise once you connect the dots? You will see how much of an irrefutable mastermind villain genius that Ardyn is, that even Kefka Palazzo can't keep pace with. So jumping straight into it, in my previous theory video, I'll leave a link in the description. This was kind of a tee up for this video. In that video I spoke about the destructive power of an astral's corpse and how it comes at a consequence fighting these astrals, and how it's really a cornerstone and theme of the Final Fantasy 15 game. So with Ifrit, his burning corpse released the Star Scourge into the sky. With Leviathan, it summoned a huge tidal wave that totally wrecked Altissia and washed away Hillary Clinton's administration. When Titan awoke, NPCs of Leslam spoke about the region having constant dangerous earthquakes, and after the fight, Titan's destruction left a whopping great hole in the earth. As for Rama, he's typically never that destructive or dangerous as a summon, but even still, he's caused a huge thunderstorm in a region of Dusky, uprooting trees, destroying the wildlife.
I expected more fire and brimstone.
Some gods are friendlier than others, I guess.
But not all of them. Poor Luna.
And then finally we go to the main summon I want to talk about in this game, and that is SHIVA. Her immortal corpse has brought about a perpetual snowstorm that has turned a significant portion of the Niflheim region into a frozen dead tundra. Total opposite of what Ifrit's corpse is doing, but I'm going to do this video as to why it's even more significant on the story than even Ifrit's, which I believe released the Star Scourge. That is how significant this seemingly meaningless excuse to insert giant opai into the game is on the story of 15. So to do this, we're going to go at it from the perspective of Ardyn. We're going to climb into his shoes. So we have been betrayed by our own kin, and even the gods we once served have turned their backs on us, and we want revenge. Unfortunately, however, the ones we want revenge against, the Lucians, a royal family. They run an empire, and it just so happens to be one of the most secure, well-defended, impenetrable kingdoms on the whole planet, because it has a magical barrier. Now we're back over here on the outside, sitting in our own pool of Star Scourgy despair, and we want to get revenge. Well, how do we do that? Well, the first thing that pops into mind is we summon forth an army of demons and we attack with everything we've got. But the problem there is there are certain limitations, and this is what Ardyn faced. Like I said, in the science of the Star Scourge, people need to be converted into demons. Ardyn just can't whimsically summon an army out of thin air. He needs people to turn, he needs the demons to be strong, preferably armoured with weapons, aka the Magitech. Artificially grown humans who he can infect with the Star Scourge, a quick, easy, mass-producible army at his disposal, and even if that runs out, he can start using regular people as well, so win-win. Except he has one big problem. Regular demons aren't going to do the job because the Lucians have one other defense that he has to get around, and that is the Old Wall, possibly his biggest obstruction. Magic ethereal spirits of old Lucian kings are able to come to the defense of Insomnia at any moment. None of his demons, his regular ones at least, are going to be able to do the trick. He needs big demons. Big demons to fight these, and that's of course where the diamond weapons come into Kingsglaive. But the problem with all of this, you'll notice, is Ardyn is just one man. Sure, he's powerful, but to create this army he needs resources, he needs materials, factories, people to convert, workers, even researchers and scientists like Vestel to create the army he needs. Basically, Ardyn needs an entire empire at his disposal just to use it like a chess piece in his game of revenge, to simply besiege Insomnia and begin his plan. That's just to start it. So how does he even begin to execute such a tall order? Well, an obvious answer would be perhaps to manipulate the leader of a rival nation. Hell, maybe Ardyn could have even used the power that we've seen he possesses to disguise himself as the Emperor. Would that have worked? Well, I think no, because what's to say even Idolus possessed that kind of influence? Would the people have necessarily listened to him? If he told them they were going to use demons, would they have agreed? The enemy they had been fighting for hundreds of years, would the people of Niflheim have even gone as far as to round up entire villages of innocent people to turn them into demons, all at the behest of their emperor? No chance. The people would have simply revolted the idea, and even Idolus himself in the Kingsglaive movie, he was kind of disgusted by the demons when he told Ardyn to dispose of them.
The crystal is ours. Finish this, and see the demons disposed of. As you command.
It implied that this was an extreme measure, a last resort that even he was sickened by. So Ardyn needs to somehow not only push the Niflheim Emperor, but an entire nation of people so close to the edge that they would be desperate enough to resort to these kind of terrible measures. Well, that's exactly what he does. He makes them desperate enough, and he does it by utilising the most powerful weapon at his disposal, an Astral's corpse. It states in the game that in ME745, SHIVA was awoken and killed by Magitech technology. Now this was early forms of Magitech, so the Empire didn't realise they were using demons, they were still calling the Star Scourge a vanishing disease, they hadn't even begun production on things like diamond weapons. That happened a whopping 11 years later. Even Immortalis hasn't been constructed, and the Empire haven't started rounding up innocent people yet, so they're not extreme. They haven't gone that far yet, despite the fact that Ardyn has introduced Magitech technology to them. And it is at this turning point, this pivotal moment, ME745, where Ardyn plays his first huge trump card. He awakens SHIVA. Yes, that is correct, that is my claim, my theory. Ardyn woke her up intentionally. Because isn't it a bit of a coincidence that the moment SHIVA wakes up, she's surrounded by Magitech? Not only that, the game says that a wall breaker was utilised against her. Now, I didn't realise what this was, but it's actually what they call the machine that we saw in Zegnortus Keep. The big red glowy spinny thing, that's called a wall breaker, and that actually supposedly dampens and extracts magic. So they utilised one on the field to dampen the ice goddess's magic to bring her down. It was all planned out, it was an ambush. Because upon her death, it does what Ifrit's body does. The magic goes crazy and it obliterates the entire surrounding region. It says in the game that Niflheim was, quote, a desert and luscious forest nation. Now, I'm no expert, but a country that is typically accustomed to a warmer climate suddenly being thrown into a huge blizzard is gonna fuck things up, to say the least. And that's exactly what happened. We learned in episode Prompto that the Niflheim Empire was poverty-ridden. With extreme poverty, starvation, death, and how could they not be? Their climate has just undergone a very dramatic and violent 180-degree shift. But it was all intentional. It was all set up. Ardyn basically ice-bombed an entire section of the world map of an entire empire. And the cleverness of this plan is brilliant because it did two things. Not only did it prove that the Magitech technology was a success, because in the eyes of Idolus in the Empire, a goddess suddenly attacked them and his technology saved them. So now Ardyn has their faith in Magitech. It gives them the eagerness and the reason to pursue Magitech further, to then escalate to the point of creating diamond weapon demons, which Ardyn needs for his plan, but it also caused the desperateness. And all Ardyn had to do was step in and plant in Idolus's mind that the crystal could be the key to saving his people. And now if we look back on scenes in Kingsglaive, like when Idolus said to Regis,
My own city's pale in comparison. I pray we are able to take away much from this visit.
think of what that means, how dark that is, what has happened to Idolus's people, and he's going for this crystal because he believes it will save them. It's the only hope for their survival, but the entire plan, the entire groundwork was laid by Ardyn from start to finish, and just some proof of it. So part of my claim is that Ardyn awoke SHIVA intentionally. How could he have selectively chose to wake up SHIVA? Well, oracles wake up summons. In fact, if the game is anything to go by, it's the only way that his summon can wake up. So who woke up SHIVA? Well, it was Ardyn. He was once basically an oracle himself. He could heal just like Luna, and he is still himself a messenger. A messenger in this game is someone who can communicate with gods, and Ardyn seems to still have that ability, considering him and Ifrit are in cahoots. But I know what you're going to say, Pez, that's pretty weak source evidence to show that Ardyn can still wake up astrals himself. He's fallen out of their favour. I don't believe he can anymore. Well, actually, I think there's proof to say he can, because the game states that the object needed to awaken an astral is the trident of the Oracle. And, well, does Ardyn have the trident? No, because that's in the Florette's possession. Or does he? If we go to the final fight against Noctis and Ardyn, look at his armature set. Ardyn has the trident, and by that definition, he has what is required to awaken an astral. And that opens so many more questions. Like, was it Ardyn then who awoke Ifrit? I mean, it would seem implied that it must have been Ardyn who did it. And by that same merit, was it then Ifrit who told Ardyn what Shiva's corpse could do and to use it as part of his plan? How did Ardyn know? How did he come up with this crazy plan? And this is so key because it's the background to how the entire game started. This was how Ardyn wormed his way to Chancellor. This was how he convinced them to create diamond weapons. This was how they convinced them to go on a military campaign across the globe, even spreading as far as to getting Tenebrae soldiers to turn on their own royal family. I mean, why did they do that? We never really had a reason for that. Well, was it because they recently saw what happened to a neighbour? If you lived in a nation and the nation next door suddenly got attacked by a goddess, like literally a god, completely decimating all of the fields, farms, agricultures, lands, causing starvation, poverty, people freezing to death, who would you point a finger to? To the Oracle, the one who communes with the gods, the one who awakens the gods. Oh my god! Would this not have been 100% a justified motive for why Drautus killed Silver? When he landed, he singled out and specifically went for Silver. Well, was it because he was holding the Oracle accountable for the recent goddess attack or perceived goddess attack? All the while, the real person behind it all is Ardyn Izunia.
Call it a gesture of imperial goodwill.
And all of the pieces of this puzzle, they just fit, because again, ME745 is when this happened, 12 years before. It was then that we see a distinct change in the Empire. It is identified as a turning point in the game because even Aranea spoke about how recently the Empire changed. It wasn't the Empire that she knew that they'd gone mad, and Clarissa in Altissia says the exact same thing.
Was it so long ago the last Oracle was taken from them? We've seen the Empire go mad these 10-odd years.
And I mean, I know she says 10 and this happened 12 years before, but she's just speaking figuratively. I don't think she's being exact. And even if she is, it would have taken at least 2 years of an empire freezing its bollocks off and living in the poverty and realising this winter was never going to end for them to eventually make the moves that Ardyn wants. The reason why I really love this theory is it just makes everything else make so much more sense. This is how Ardyn overcame the innumerable odds that he would actually be able to accomplish manipulating an entire empire to his will. And if we think about how Shiva's response must be to that, oh damn. How do you think she feels about having her corpse used and manipulated to kill tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people, her body being used against her will as a weapon? It was also from a man who she once served, and her messenger Gentiana once served, whose form she is now having to take over. And to think Ardyn then has the balls to mock her about it after he's done all of this. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Ardyn, bro, you deserve that one. So there it is, there is the theory. I'd like to more call it connecting the dots to how Ardyn Izunia went about his plan. How he managed to bend an entire nation to his whim, all by awakening a goddess so secretly, not even the Empire knew it, not even the fanbase knew it. Though I kind of doubt that Ardyn was, what is this? Is this opera singing? I always kind of imagined Ardyn would have more of a Jex kind of tone. And the final piece of proof that I would like to bring forward to show why this is no coincidence, why this was all manufactured by Ardyn, is because if it was indeed Ardyn who intentionally woke the goddess and used her, why did he wait so long? Why did he wait until ME745? He could have done this any time. Why then? What was significant about that point in time? Well, is it any coincidence that in Brotherhood, in episodes 1 and 5, which featured an 8-year-old Noctis, which, yes, as you guessed correctly, was precisely 12 years before the events of the game, is it any coincidence that was when Noctis met his first demon? And by that same extension, a servant of Ardyn, the Marilith, who cocked her head sideways curiously, staring at a young Noctis and realising he was something special. It's no coincidence because that's the day Ardyn knew for sure a King of Light had been born. But that is, as they say, just a theory. A most auspicious theory. Until the next video.
Kumo!